What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, episode 77. Today we have the pleasure of talking with Lisa, the shop doc. Lisa has helped many Etsy sellers with their shops and put together a list of her top 5 tips. We chat with Lisa about how she got started, her inspiration for the shop doc name, and of course, her tips. Stick around to see if your shop has an opportunity for improvement. What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, the podcast where we have fun conversations about serious topics. I am Gordon from Marmalead.
And I am Richie from Marmalead. And if you're not yet using Marmalead, but you are a seller on Etsy that is serious about their shops, then you need to go check out Marmalead, because Marmalead gets your products found with real shopper keywords, which is, of course, very important when you're doing SEO if you want to get found by shoppers searching on Etsy.
How do they find it?
So you're going to find Marmalead at marmalead.com. You want to spell it? Is marmalead.com.
Nice. Thanks, Richie. We have a very special guest with us this week. We have Lisa with us, the shop doc. Thanks for joining us this week, Lisa.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you sent over a big story about what you do with people on Etsy sellers. I don't want to spoil too much of that for the people listening in. Can you talk about how you sort of got started with Etsy? And then how you eventually found your way into this role of the shop doc.
Sure. It's kind of long, and it might seem a little irrelevant at the beginning, but it actually started back in college. I was going for an associate's in computer-aided drafting and design to be an engineer major, following in my father's footsteps. And one of my friends who was in all of my classes, our second year in, was just like, I'm going to drop out and make glass beads and sell them on Etsy. He does not know how to do anything with glass. He'd never had a kiln. He'd never had anything. And I was like, you're crazy. You're just going to drop out of college and go, what is Etsy? I was like, what? This was like back in like 2010.
Yeah. And
he did it. He dropped out and he started selling beads, and I thought he was crazy, and I followed suit. I was like, this might be crazy enough to work. And I'm really good at CAD and engineering, but it's not my passion. I don't want to sit for 8 hours at a desk doing it. I can. It makes good money. I'm good at it, but I wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
So I just started, I got married in 2010, and then I started crafting. I just started making necklaces and bracelets just to kind of like get spending cash. And Jace was like, sell your stuff on Etsy. So I started it, and it was horrible. It was so bad. My pictures were terrible. My SEO was terrible. My products were terrible. And it took a lot of learning. This was back in the day when they did things called B&Rs and B&Bs, which were treasuries. They don't even do treasuries on Etsy anymore. And you would buy into a treasury and you would get sold out, and it was crazy. But so I started my Etsy shop, and I was selling all kinds of jewelry. And then, or actually that's a lie, I wasn't selling anything. I was making it and I was posting it, and it wasn't selling. Everything about a business was going on except the money-making part. So I thought that maybe it was my pricing. So I started thinking I needed lower priced items in my shop. These things called wire ear cuffs were coming out, and it's like, I can do that. So I made a wire ear cuff and it sold. So I reposted it and it sold again. I'm like, well, it's just because it's the cheapest thing. And then it was like the only thing selling in my shop. And I was like, fine, you guys want ear cuffs? I'll give you ear cuffs. And then I would get a request, can you make a nose ring? Yes, wire in a circle. There you go. Here's the nose ring. And then they're like, all right, can you do a lip ring? I'm like, it's just a bigger nose ring. And so it was just listening to the customers, and there was something about what I was doing that they weren't finding somewhere else. And I was running with it. They started coming back and they're saying, your stuff is really comfortable. It's nice and smoothed down and filed. It's not tarnishing. And then I started going to actually my competition, and because you should always keep an eye on your competition for pricing, I'm not saying to copy them, but just to know where you are in the playing field. And so I'm scoping out my competition, and I started going through their reviews, and I started actually paying attention to their negative reviews, because to me, I've always learned that you can do anything better. Whatever it is you're doing in your shop, if you just do it slightly better, you'll do fine. So where were they failing? Where were their weaknesses that I could be strong? They had slow turnaround times, they had uncomfortable items, they had cheap materials, and their items were getting squished in the mail because it's just wire. And so customers would message me and they'd be like, is this just going to get sent in an envelope and it's going to get ruined? Why would I do that? I was like, it sounds like a silly idea, but they're asking me because it's happened before. And so these are all things that I took and I use them as pride in my shop. I ship fast, I ship comfortable, and learning all of these things from my customers. I also worked 10 years in customer service. So I've learned that professionalism to keep with them, how you don't let it get personal. You know, whenever they want something, it's really, really about listening to your customers and seeing what they need and they want. And it's like a 50-50. You do what you want for your shop, but you do what your customers are asking to and meet in the middle and everybody's happy. And so I started the shop doc to explore and to start doing shop critiques for other shops so that they could get on the same track of sales much faster than I did. Because that process took me about 4 years. And I want everybody else to be able to set up their own shop and get it running within a year.
It makes sense. I mean, we all have to start somewhere. And I guess the real difference is sometimes people catch on right away and, you know, just right from the get-go have just a natural inclination to pick this material up. And others might never get it. And then others, you know, they just kind of go and learn on their own. Like kind of like what you did, right? Took 4 years, you got there. And then if you're willing to help other people and they're willing to listen, that's like, hey, let me help you avoid those pitfalls that slowed me down.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you those things. Yeah, I've been told a long time ago, the wise person learns from their mistakes, but a brilliant person learns from others' mistakes.
Nice. Yeah, I've always been haven't always gotten along with my parents because I've always been the whole beat your own path kind of person.
Yep.
And it didn't work out for me when I was younger, but now that I'm older, it definitely works out. I've always gone about things maybe the more difficult way, but I kind of like doing it that way because then you really know the ins and outs of the belly of the beast when you know everything. And it's just always been my nature. I mean, back when I was like 5, my dad brought home our first computer with, you know, floppy drives. I don't mean 3.5s. I mean 5.
The real floppy drives. The ones that were floppy.
The floppy floppies. Yeah. We had one of those. And my dad was the kind of person that would be like, sit down at the computer and play with it. He's like, you can't break it. Unplug things. They're only going to fit in one spot. And he's like, learn it. He's like, figure it out. You're not going to break it. And that's just been a philosophy that I've taken with everything. You're not going to break your Etsy shop. I mean, you technically might, but don't go changing all your titles and stuff in one day and say you didn't break it because that'll break it.
Don't do that. That will break it.
But I mean, with playing with your shop, you should, I really hope that everybody has clicked through every single tab that is on your Etsy shop, all the social media tabs, all the marketing tabs. You really need to know all the ins and outs of the platform that you're working on if you want to succeed with it. So it's just something that I've tried to do. And now I want to show people not the shortcuts, but the smart way to use the tools to get where they want faster.
So talk a little bit about that transition that you made from Etsy seller to Etsy helper.
Okay. About 2.5 years ago, Sarah Sewell started Flourish. And I was actually starting to just expand my own business, which is Faux Ferocity. And I was watching Renee Christine's videos. I forget, she's got a title. I forget what it is because I hate to say it, but I stopped watching her a long time ago. But she had brought up Flourish and I looked it up and I saw Sarah and I dove right in. And as soon as she started inviting more people in, I saw people asking common questions about how getting started on Etsy, how do you do this with the listing? And I'm like, Sarah, I was like, if you need help answering, I was like, I know the answers to like all of these questions. And I was like, and I know you don't know me very well. I was like, but I had, I think, 35,000 sales at the time. So I was like, I've got experience. I'm like, I've got the sales record. I'm like, I can help you out with these questions. She's like, sure. And so over the past 2 years, she's slowly been training me and I've just been answering more and more questions. And it just, I don't know, I just have this inclination to help people. I don't know if that was the right word, but
yeah,
I love helping people. And when you do like a mentor call with someone and you're sitting there for 30 minutes and I'll answer their questions one-on-one on a video like this and just seeing them light up when they've been working so hard on something like target market and they've worked with multiple people, read articles, and it's just not clicking. And after 30 minutes of talking to me, they go, oh my God. They're like, I got it. And just seeing that sparkle in someone's eyes and seeing that rejuvenated motivation, that is what makes me want to continue to help these people because I love making people feel better. There's no person that can't have a shop. If you've got the determination and the motivation and you just need a little direction, I want to help those people so bad. Like I want to help people succeed. And so with Sarah asking questions and helping people, and I was like, well, if I take a look at some of these people's shops, I'm like, will you allow me to critique them? I was like, because look at my shop. I was like, you can see that I've got my shop set up. If you think my shop is worth showing to others, then maybe I can go through other people's shops and critique them. She's like, yeah. So she showed me how to do a shop critique and I've been doing them for 2 years now. I love it. And I don't know, I have a very different way of teaching. A lot of people are very textbook sounding, or they sound spreadsheety. I'm very just this is what I do when I critique people. But yeah, I just use the shop critiques, and I go through and I make sure that they've got their branding set up, and I make sure they know who their target market is, make sure their photography is stunning, that their pricing is on point, that you've got the front page of your Etsy shop looking like a magazine, that you've got your shop sections, that they've got their about page, that they've really just got all the fine nitty-gritty details that they might have looked over or felt was unimportant. And I love helping people with that. And I've seen a lot of success. There's been a lot of people who are scared to jack up their prices, and I'll tell them new price point, and they're like, that item sold yesterday. We had our call 2 days ago. I love when they say that I'm right. Like, I love seeing them succeed afterwards, and having them just come back and be like, it was just that one thing that I needed to understand. And just knowing that I can help somebody understand something is... Sorry, I don't know if I'm actually answering the question right.
No, that's great. And I think it goes back to what you were saying before, too, about, your schooling and going into CAD and being able to do that. And that's a fine career path, right? And like, people that love that are going to be very happy doing that. But for you, it wasn't really where your passion was. And it's so rewarding to see somebody else whose Etsy shop might really be their passion, but it's just a hobby right now because they haven't hit a stride with it, and to be able to sit down with them and kind of take them through and show them some things here and there and get them to the point where they could take that joy in their life and make it something that's not their day job, that they're not doing the CAD stuff to pay the bills. Their passion can now be paying the bills. Right. And so that, like you're saying, I think that's a fantastic thing. And it's super rewarding when you see it click with people and you see them start doing well because of the changes that they're making. It's awesome.
I think especially too, because a lot of them are like me. A lot of them are stay-at-home moms. And I've actually been able to make it so that my husband doesn't have to work anymore. So even though we've got a 2 and a 4-year-old, I've had my husband at home now for 2 years in February, which has been incredibly nice. Because like I said, he's been home since my son was 1. And so it's so much nice to have, the extra help around the house, and he gets to see the kids grow up. Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of moms that want that, and I want them to be able to get what they want.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you sent over your write-up, and one of the things that stuck out to Richie, he can probably kind of explain it better than I can, but the sense that you moved into this kind of, teacher, coach type role, you call yourself the shop doc, which is a sweet name. I like that name, right?
Thank you.
How did you develop that kind of persona? Why did you pick that terminology? What did you research the market to know that would resonate well with people, and they would respond to that? Did you try other names before that, or different personas almost? How did that actual, the shop doc, how was that built?
That was actually a lot of fun, because a lot of people, when they're starting an Etsy business, because they start as hobbies, myself included with my first shop, we don't do any branding. We create something, we don't think about the end person in mind. And then later on, we try to figure out who our target market is and how to brand to that person. Because I was already in Flourish before I started the shop doc, I could see the kind of terminology that people were using, and that they were getting, upset. Oh, my sales are tanking, my views are tanking, everything's dropping. And I just wanted to give this sort of envisionment of, okay, if your shop is sick, let me help you heal it. And I didn't try any other names before that. Sometimes I just can get really witty. And so I hadn't come up with the shop doc yet. I had come up with certain slogans, kind of, to try to help them. Like, if your shop has a case of the SEO sniffles, or the lack of sales sneezes or something. There was a whole bunch of all these cold related things. And ailments. And I wanted to be I want to resuscitate your business. Yeah. If it's dead, I want to resuscitate. And all of it just kept bringing with that whole life. Yeah. Your shop wants life. Life is created with health. You want good health. You want good life. And it just became the shop doc. And it has so much fun marketing abilities, because come Halloween time, I do shop critiques. There's not much product lines I can release or anything, so I have to make my marketing interesting. So at Halloween, I was like, the doc has gone mad, and I did this whole mad scientist theme, and it's little things like that it just, the brand, it was just so much fun thinking about my brand before I built the shop. Yeah. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to make these listings, I was like, I have to come up with a graphic, and so I hand drew the graphics. So I've got One of them is the Etsy house, and it's got a lifeline through it with a heart.
Okay.
One of them is a doctor with a stethoscope, and it's been such a good, I've gotten such a positive feedback on this branding, and it's working really well because there's, 3,000 people in the groups that I'm in, but if they see a post and it's got an orange plus sign with a black circle, they know that that's the shop doc.
Yeah.
They know that's me.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going for. And that's really what all shops should go for, is you need something that they see a symbol and they know it's you.
Yeah.
You see a blue F, it's Facebook. You see, the orange E, it's Etsy. You see a red square with a white play button, it's YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
What do people see and know it's you? And that was one thing that you see?
Yeah, I was going to, let's
and
turn this. There we go.
Kind of funny that you say that, because I've been talking about following your own path.
Yeah.
And I purposely wore that shirt for this because I felt that it was very
well planned.
So it was just the chance that I got to go through the branding before it and really just think about how, the whole thing was I wanted to lift people's spirits. And they all thought it was kind of funny. It's kind of cutesy funny.
Mm-hmm.
And that worked with my target market, which I'm swimming in with these helpful groups.
It makes sense. A lot of people, work can be hard, work can be exhausting, but you can still have fun doing it. Like a lot of games that you get into, especially if you get more competitive with them, no matter what they are, they wear you out. Doesn't matter if it's a sport or if it's Scrabble. Like if you get competitive with something, it's hard, it wears you out, but you had fun doing it. So It's okay to be serious about it, work hard, and still let it be fun.
I try to tell people to compare having an Etsy shop, because a lot of them are parents. I'm like, it's another child. You're never going to be done. You're never going to be done updating it. But at the same time, when you're starting an Etsy shop, don't worry about getting hundreds of sales, because when your kids are in college, you're not worrying about their SATs. If your shop is a beginning, let it be a beginning. Let it work on it little at a time, just like you work with your kids. It's going to get irritating. It's going to take time. It's parts of it that you don't want to do, but it's very beneficial in the end.
And some days are better than others.
Exactly. You're going to have
just
lows,
like with kids.
You're going to have highs. It's going to be unpredictable, and you got to just roll with the punches.
All right, Doc. So what would you say are some of the top ailments you've seen with people's Etsy shops, and what's the prescription for those?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, it's hard, because if you're just starting,
mm-hmm.
the two things, I feel like there's two different brackets. When you're first starting, you have to have your branding and you have to have your target market in mind. It is so much easier to make a product with a person in mind and go stand in front of that person and go, here you go, I know you want this. As opposed to making something and then standing in the middle of the mall or the middle of the parking lot going, I did this, who wants it? One of those people is going to sell a lot more than the other.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, and so you need to know who you want as a target market and develop around them and create your brand around them as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is, nobody starts like that. Like on Etsy, they get excited. Some friend says, hey, you make beautiful wood stuff, you should sell that. And they go, okay. And they jump right in. It's like, whoa, slow down. Research a little bit. Once you do get set up, the two things that are definitely going to get you sold is your search engine optimization, your keywords, and your photography. Without keywords, you're not going to get found. And without stellar photography, nobody's going to look at you versus the other 50 people on the page. And that was something that took me a long, long time. I am not a photogenic person. Some kind of black magic happens between the camera and here, and it just doesn't work. I've accepted this. So I have to send out for model pictures, but I make sure she uses my brand colors. So my brand colors are like purple, black, and gold for faux ferocity, which is a fake news, an alternative piercing
mm-hmm. shop.
So like this one actually isn't even real. I have one reel on
crazy.
one page.
Oh, look at that. Very cool.
That is cool.
And that makes a ton of sense too, what you're saying. I'll let you finish in just a moment. But as far as you're selling jewelry, you're selling something you put on your face. Like if someone's gonna buy that, they want to see a great photo. Someone doesn't want to see some like kind of like dingy, where'd you take this? Public restroom, like what's going on? Like that's not what they want to think about.
There's a guy that was copying me, and I'm not gonna say names because I don't want to dish anything out, but he's trying to copy my name and my brand. And I'm not worried about it because it's that whole just do it better. I'm not worried about him. Don't worry about competition. Just keep doing better than them. So he's trying to copy me. And he's got pictures of like lip rings but he's got this long mustache that like curls into his lips and like spaced, not white teeth. I'm not worried. I'm like, you do you, boo. You go take your picture. You think that's all right to post and sell? Okay. Just it's not flattering.
Yeah, I love the visual picture you just painted with that. Was fantastic.
The actual picture is it's it's fantastic. So but yeah, so I had to hire a photographer, and so I had her, she's got black hair, and she did the black wingtips because my target market's like punky, alternative kind of people, rebellious. And then she did purple lipstick. So when people are when you're scrolling through nose rings, you're getting 50 flesh tones, whether it be white, tan, beige, black. How am I going to stand out? And it's the same thing with every other product. If somebody does a search, you're trying to stand out. Well, if my brand is purple, black, and gold, I've got Zuli having purple lipstick in my photography, that it's not just the quality of the picture, it's what makes you stand out in a positive manner. And that goes also back to carrying your branding. Your branding has to carry through everything. The way you talk in your in your copy, the photography that you're taking, your branding is all of it. It is the living, breathing personality of your shop. And I don't think enough people take that through and through. But with your branding and your target market first, know who you're selling to, know who your shop is. Once you've got you figured out, get your SEO and your photography in, and you'll get found and picked out.
Yeah, I think so. Target market obviously could be a whole nother jam all in and of itself, but is there a simple way of offering some tips of discovering your target market? Because I think a lot of sellers, it's going to make sense to them. Like, yes, of course I'll do better if I can sell to people who I know are interested in my product, but going from someone in the middle of a mall, like you're saying, holding up a product, shouting, I made this thing, to somebody who knows exactly where to bring it and who to sell it to, it could be a tough set of steps to make. So what can they do to kind of start moving in the right direction with that?
I think that they think it's a lot scarier than it really is. Target market sounds like this big, scary, I don't know who they are. And I think that it can be broken down very easily. So for myself, as an example, when I started selling nose rings and stuff, I thought my target market, I'm like, who's going to wear a fake nose ring? Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what my wardrobe needs? I need a fake nose ring. Nobody says that, but I've got 53,000 sales. So apparently I'm doing something right. And it's, sorry, I didn't mean that to sound.
No, that's good. That's good.
But no, I thought that it was like targeting college and high school kids.
Yeah.
But that's like a third of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the target marketing that a lot of people do is I sell jewelry. Well, it's women between 20 and 40. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. You know how I know? Because I'm not your target market. Chances are if you're selling jewelry, I'm not your target market. I wear things that never get taken off. And so I was looking back at my own target market, and I had to think of why someone wants a fake nose ring. Well, they're trying to copy someone who's got real face piercings. This is the one time in your life when it's okay to stereotype, is when you're trying to find your target market. So if you've got face piercings, I'm going to place a bet that you've got a tattoo or two. And if you've got tattoos and piercings, you probably don't have naturally colored hair, or you've got a little bit of an attitude. Put all those things together, and it's a rebellious, punky person. It doesn't have to be like extreme goth. It doesn't mean that it's emo or spike wearing. It's just, you got an attitude. And that is going to depict my marketing. That's going to depict the funny videos that I post for them. That's going to depict the commentary I use when I respond to a conversation. So to figure it out for others, I want you to think of your product. And I want you to think of like high school or being in a mall. What clique would wear your product? What clique would buy it or put it in their house? A lot of them have country themes. Okay. And even when you say the word country theme, if you've got if you feel like your shop is rustic or boho chic country, there are 10 different types of country. There's redneck country. There's high class curl country. There's your home love. There's just different. There's Western. So when you say something's
outlaw country.
Yeah, you see there's all kinds of, or if you say your husband's a car guy, is he a NASCAR guy? Is he a Model T guy? Is he a classics, repop? What you got? You can't just say one thing. So you can't just say your target market is women who want jewelry. What kind of woman is she? What is her personality? And this is why I say it's okay to stereotype, because if you go to the mall, the person that is going to Abercrombie and Fitch and Bath and Body Works and the Gap is not the same person that's going to Spencer's and Hot Topic. And those are two different target markets. It's just about trying to think of the personality is the biggest way I've gotten people to comprehend it, is what's the personality in your shop. Because the way that I market with my punky, attitudey, rebellious, my Monday motivation posts have swear words in them. I'm not going to repeat them now because they're not appropriate. I don't suggest that the person who's got the religious wooden signs post my marketing. And at the same time, my rebellious people, I'm not going to post something that's got quote Bible verse, blah, 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 because I'll get shunned. So it's just about giving your shop a personality and letting it live and breathe and putting half of you, it's half of you, half of what your people want. Because if it's full you, that's okay too. But like my target market is like my alter ego. Like if I could really just punk it out, if I had no responsibilities, no kids, and just my inner wild side. In real life, I'm pulled back.
I really like that example you gave of, you're at the mall, watch the people that go into this store versus that store.
Yes.
And you will clearly see it, and hey, some people might go back and forth.
Exactly.
And that's cool. Like there's something unique about them too. But there's going to be people that you're like, okay, that person came out of that store, looks like this. I'm 90% sure the next place they're going, I'm pretty sure if you watch it long enough, the next one they'll go to is this one.
Yes. And that's another really great point, is the bouncing back and forth. Most of my clients are for Faux Ferocity are actually parents and grandparents. I'm not about to start posting how to change diapers and how to crochet to appeal to those people. The reason why they got attracted to me is because I give that nightlife feel. So it's hard because you have to weed out who is buying from you, but isn't showing that they're your target market, which is that person which is hard because those are usually the people that they're looking at. But I kind of went all NCIS on my shop, and you have to it's true. You got to you look at the conversations people are sending you. How are they talking in those conversations? Are they using full grammatically correct sentences? Because if they are, I'm gonna bet they're older than 18. But if somebody emails you and is like, yo dog, when's this gonna ship? Clearly it's a younger client. Or the reviews. If people leave a review and they post a picture, look at the picture. Is it on like a wood countertop or a marble countertop? Is it hard tile floors or linoleum floors? Look at the houses of these products that they're going to. This is where your stuff lives. This is going to tell you if it's a higher income family. Is it a clean person? Is it a messy person? You can learn a lot from a teeny tiny little photo. And so it's just a lot of reading into and reading between the lines. And you'll see a pattern. There's going to be a few oddballs, but you just want to go with the majority.
I like that. I like that using the photo. That's a great way that, a photo's worth 1,000 words. You can draw a lot of conclusions from a photo. I think that's a fantastic suggestion. So, all right, speaking of photos, then one of the other tips you offered was about photos for people. And you mentioned that you're not the most photography inclined person in the world. And so you recognize that, and, you have somebody else do your photos and have a model pose with your products and stuff like that. So there's a lot of options, right, for sellers. With photography, they could either do it themselves and then try to get better at it. They could try to learn how to use a DSLR or better equipment, set up a studio or anything like that, and keep kind of doing it themselves. They could send the product to somebody who can take the photos for them, or have someone that they know come over and take photos. I mean, there's so many different ways of attacking this. I guess, how would you try to direct somebody? Like, if they're asking what they should be doing to improve their photography, how do you help them decide which path they should be taking?
My husband made a light box. We had bought one on Amazon, just the standard folding 10 light box. You put lights on two sides. No, I think you put lights on all four sides because you want to make sure your lighting's not too close. People think that they want a brighter picture, so they move the lights in, but then you get harsh shadows. So you're going to want to move the lights away. No harsh shadows. If you do use a camera, you're also going to want to get what's called a gray card, because that's going to keep your colors true. It's like $3 to $5 on Amazon, and it's going to save you so much stress. Because if you have a nice camera, all you do is you set up your photography staging, take a picture of it with the gray card, put your product in its place. It could be gray, black, or white. It's actually 3 different ones, but it'll keep your whites true white, no yellow tint, no blue tint. And it's going to look a little bit darker because you've got the lights out, but when you go to edit it, the colors will be true, and you won't have the harsh shadows. So I do that with my own products. I have him lay it in there and do the different lightings. And if you have a staging area so that it can be the same every single time, that is ideal. It's really hard to do outdoor photography. Sun, seasons, they change. If you can have one stationary place in your house so that all your photos look exactly the same, that is very important. Because if you've got one that's really gray, not so gray, white, it just makes you look like you're not as not as skilled in what you're doing because there's too many discrepancies. And then for the models, I definitely send out pictures. My first model was actually one of my reviews. He had left a stellar model picture, and I was like, dude, can I use your picture in my listings? And he's like, absolutely. I was like, better yet, do you have more products in my shop that you like that I can send you if you send me pictures back? He's like, yeah. And he actually even gave a couple to his friends. Nice. And sent me a whole bunch of pictures back. But I don't actually work with him anymore because it turns out he was too pretty boy. Like, he was a nice model to start with, but he's very well manscaped. He's adorable. He's gorgeous, but he doesn't fit my brand.
Mm-hmm.
He was
they don't
almost
want adorable.
I don't want adorable. And that was I found another girl that I was testing my photography. I sent my stuff out. I hadn't met the model. I just knew the photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And she sent it back, and it came out with that very college preppy girl, straight blonde hair. She's beautiful. The pictures are amazing. Not my brand. Then I sent my picture to Zuli, and she comes back with the shaved head, asymmetrical wingtip makeup, and the purple lipstick. And I was like, that is it. I will not use any other models besides her ever again. I was like, I want to keep staring at your picture in the least creepy way possible. It's like, these are amazing.
How did you go about finding these different models and options for you? Obviously, the first one was a review.
Yeah, the first one was just a review.
Yeah.
The second one was talking to people in Flourish. Mm-hmm. I was just trying to see if I could get some free photography, because a lot of photographers, some will shoot for free if they get to keep the product. I know that works really well for baby products.
Mm-hmm.
If you send out photography outfits. And then Zuli is actually one of the Flourish photo photographers experts. And I met her in North Carolina when we did a Flourish meetup. And I actually got really lucky, and we just kind of like became best friends.
Nice.
And I was just like, hey, could you do this for me? And I was like, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to come across, because I actually was talking to Sarah too. I forgot Sarah's son's girlfriend was one of my models, because Sarah's like, I looked at your shop, and she's like, my daughter-in-law, or soon to be, looks like she belongs in your store. And she's got the bright red hair, again, with the black wingtips. I'm like, perfect. But her skills just weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
She was more into the selfie, which wasn't professional enough. So I was getting closer with the target market, but then scaled back with the quality of the photo. So I had to stop working with her. And then Zuli came across, and I was just like, you really look punky. Can you just take a picture with one of my things and see how it looks? And then she was like, do you want me to get purple lipstick? I'm like, yes. I was like, that sounds like it looks horrible, but it is my brand. And it happened to work out perfectly. It's a lot of asking. It's a lot of trial and error. Like, I know that a lot of Etsy sellers are afraid of failing, afraid of messing up. Honestly, you have to have thick skin to have a shop. And probably it's going to be 50% fail, 50% win. They're going to pour their hearts and souls into product lines, and you're going to create 10 beautiful pieces, and 3 are going to sell. And one of those 3 is going to be the one that you didn't like, that you were going to be like, nobody really wants this product, and that's going to sell great. And the one that you thought was going to do really well isn't going to get any views. And it's hard and it hurts. But if you listen to your customers and you just go with it, and you have that strong ability to know what's not working and what you need to do to get it to work, there's nobody that can't succeed at this.
That's awesome.
That's encouraging.
We now interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to bring you the very last Easter egg in March, which is a super succulent.
Anything else? Any other bonus tips? One more bonus tip, maybe?
A bonus tip, I would say not a lot. No, I actually have one.
All right,
not
great,
a lot of people use their shop updates on Etsy. This is a very not used thing. It's kind of like the Snapchat/Facebook of Etsy. It gets posted to everybody's homepage of anybody that's followed you, favorited any of your products, or bought from you. So for a lot of you, that's hundreds of people that if you do a shop update once a week, it's a very informal picture. It can be a picture of orders you're shipping out, or a picture of inventory. It could be a picture of you with a cup of coffee saying, I'm getting ready to do some orders. And it goes on everybody's homepage, and it just lets them know that you're active in your shop. So for example, like I said, I've got 53,000 sales. If I post once a week, that's 53,000 people that I'm on their homepage. And it's not a buy now, but it's a great place to put a sales graphic, because everyone else, if they've got a sale, they're going to put it in their shop announcement, which means a customer has to go to Etsy, do a search, click your product, click off your product onto your shop, and then actually read your shop announcements to find out you've got a sale. That hurts my head saying it. Mm-hmm. That's way too much work. Or you could just post a graphic in your shop updates, and anybody that's already favorited you now sees, hey, I've got 10% off. They're going to open up Etsy and go, oh, I favorited her stuff. Now's the time to go check it out. And you're going to get way more views doing that once a week. And a lot of people don't do it at all. And you can share right to your social media from it too. So you can get all your social media for the day done by doing an Etsy update and posting it on Pinterest, Twitter, whatever. And I can almost guarantee that it's going to bring you in more views.
Yeah.
But don't go crazy and do them like once a day or once an hour, just once a week, because it'll show the 3 most recent. So by the time 3 weeks rolls around, everybody's had a chance to see everything. And it's a little thing that not a lot of people do on Etsy.
That's awesome. I like that. That's a good tip.
Thanks.
I almost think that people don't do it because other people don't do it. So a lot of times I notice that sellers will want to ask other sellers, they'll be like, hey, do you do this? And a lot of people will be like, no, I don't do that. And they're like, oh, cool. I won't do that either. And it's like, well, this is one of those areas, like if people aren't doing it, that's an opportunity, an easy one.
Yes.
You can do it and you can stand out in a good way.
Absolutely. It's so handy. I really do like it.
Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. This was really fantastic. I think you went through a lot of cool stuff and gave some really good tips for people. So thanks for taking the time to do it.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. We're very happy to have you. Thanks for reaching out. Well, I should remind people too. So not only depending on how you are consuming this jam, we kind of have them all over the place. iTunes, Stitcher, we're on Spotify now. If the audio isn't your thing, the video version of these is on YouTube, which you might want to check out if you remember floppy disks. When Lisa was talking about them earlier, the visual for that was pretty fantastic. We do a blog write-up too for these, and if you find that you like the video or the audio style, but it's just a little bit too long, we also have scoops, so we carve out some sections of each of these that are kind of like individual nuggets of info. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of good ones from this conversation, and you can go ahead and just kind of peruse those at your will too, instead of listening through the entire conversation. But however you like to consume Etsy Jam, we're happy to have you guys as listeners, and thank you again, Lisa, for joining us. This was fantastic. For everyone else, we'll catch you guys next time on Etsy Jam.